Commissioner Boyd,
Here.
Commissioner Davidson,
Here.
Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Oliver,
Present.
Commissioner McMurray,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Chairman Dodd.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I believe my mic was off at the first comment, so sorry about that. Next, approval of the minutes. Vice Chair Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes from our September meeting. I find them to be in order. Without objection, I move for their approval.
Is there a second? All approves, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. No one has signed up for public comments, and I don't believe there's anyone in the crowd that might wish to speak, so we will move on to Director Cumby's Health Department.
Thank you, Chairman Dodd.
Welcome.
Byron Cumby, Director of the Rutherford County Health Department. Your health department continues to do good work for the people of Rutherford, and we are indeed proud to serve. You should have our September outreach report there provided for you electronically. All programs are on track and performing as expected. In COVID news, our COVID status, according to the CDC hospital admission metric in Rutherford County, does remain low. We do continue to offer free testing to the public by appointment through our health department clinics in Smyrna and in Murfreesboro. The federal government has reopened the test kits by mail program. We do encourage Rutherford County residents to request those kits. Actually 4 kits are available to every household that requests those, and that phone number is 1-800-232-0233. If you go ahead and request those in advance while they're available, you have those when needed. The Tennessee Department of Health also provides a community support hotline to answer any COVID questions, and that phone number is 615-770-6940. They're open from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they can answer any questions about COVID or the new COVID vaccine. Yes, sir. Yes. So the Tennessee Department of Health Community Support Hotline is 615-770-6940. And that's 8 to 5 Central Time, Monday through Friday. And speaking of the new COVID vaccine, we have begun to receive our initial shipments of the Moderna vaccine. But because of some rollout challenges, we ask that people do call us to confirm availability before they come by. And then once we do have our full supply in, we'll resume those walk-in hours of 8 to 10, 1 to 3, Monday through Friday. We will also continue to have the Pfizer vaccine available for pediatric patients only, ages 6 and under. Some good news, the RSV vaccine is now available, and your health department will be stocking that. And you may recall the RSV, along with COVID and flu, as part of that triple-demic that was widely talked about last year. RSV is a common respiratory virus that usually causes only mild cold-like symptoms, but in some cases with infants or adults over 60, it can cause further complications and be rather serious. So that vaccine does provide some protection for those populations.
Is that annual?
That will be an annual recommendation, yes, sir. So that will be kind of in tandem. And the good thing about these vaccines, you can get those together and pair them up. There's not a requirement necessary. We do ask people to consult their primary care physician, but generally those are recommended for ages 60 and up or for infants. It is because of the availability of that COVID vaccine, the flu vaccine, and the new RSV that we feel like Rutherford County is well suited to meet the challenges of the coming winter season. So we just want to relay that kind of firm footing to you guys. Onto that flu vaccine. Flu shots are currently available on a walk-in basis in our clinics from 8 to 10, 1 to 3, Monday through Friday, and that's in Murfreesboro and Smyrna. The Tennessee Department of Health has declared November 1st to be Fight Flu Day statewide. So flu shots will be available free in our clinics from 8 a.m. till 4:30 on that day. That's 1 week from tomorrow on Wednesday, November 1st. And then after that date, going forward, they will be free in our clinics while supplies last. In very exciting news, our county is one of only 2 in the region to offer drive-through flu shots on that day. And we will be doing that at our new Public Health and Safety Building in the Kittrell community. It'll be the site of that event on Wednesday, November 1st from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. And hopefully you were provided as well a flyer electronically that you could share or refer to. We're really excited about that. These will be free flu shots administered in your vehicle with no pre-registration necessary. The public just needs to be there between 9 a.m. 12 p.m. on Wednesday the 1st. That address is 8055 Woodbury Pike in Reedyville, Tennessee, 37149. And we do want to thank our county EMA leadership for their cooperation and participation in making this event possible. Excuse me. In more good news, and this comes just as we enter the holiday travel season, we've been contacted by the Pediatric Trauma Unit at Vanderbilt's Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital. They are in receipt of grant funding by Safe Kids Worldwide and State Farm, and have chosen our location in Murfreesboro to be one of only 25 sites nationwide to host the Good Neighbor Car Seat Safety Check. And this will be conducted by certified passenger safety technicians. Motor vehicle crashes are still a leading cause of death among children aged 1 to 12 in the U.S., and studies examining the use of car seats estimate that half of car seats are either not used or not used properly, not installed correctly. So on Friday, November 3rd, 1 week from this Friday, from 12 p.m. till 3 p.m., our health department location in Murfreesboro will provide free car seat safety checks conducted by those certified child passenger safety technicians from Vanderbilt and Safe Kids. They will make recommendations for children who are ready to move up in booster seats and make sure seats are installed safely and securely. They will even have a number of seats, free car seats and free booster seats available to give to families who need them. We will have a fire truck on site, thanks to Chief Larry Farley, and a recycling truck, thanks to Director Bishop Wagner. We will have diaper bags and bottles to give away as well. Some of our other resource-focused community partners will be present to inform parents of their services as well. Some of you will know, some may not, that Rutherford County has a rich history of involvement when it comes to car seat safety. The director of the health department in the 1970s and 80s, Dr. Robert Sanders, was a huge proponent of car seat safety. He had a realization one day that he was vaccinating children and trying to protect them, but the leading cause of death was automobile accidents. So he, along with his wife, Pat, who I got to see just a few weeks ago at the Rockville Public Safety Building opening, they made it their mission to get car seat safety restraint law passed by the Tennessee legislature. And in 1977, it was the first law of its kind in the nation. By 1985, that all 50 states had adopted that. So our building in Murfreesboro on Burton Street right up here is named in his honor, and there's no doubt that thousands of lives have been saved by his efforts. That makes it ever more fitting that we are hosting this event in Rutherford County on November 3rd, and we continue to work his vision. Finally, also on that day, on November 3rd, this Friday, a week from this Friday, from 12 to 3, we will be at the peak of our own Coats for Kids campaign, where we will be giving free coats to kids 18 and under. Between now and November 2nd, we will be conducting a drive, collecting those coats. They can be dropped off at either the health department, or we can, at either health department, Murfreesboro or Smyrna, or you can call the number on the flyer provided, and we will pick those up. We have already received a couple of dozen coats from our staff. We have sent a bulletin to county employees with the assistance of HR Director Stevenson, asking for donations of new or lightly used coats, clean and on a hanger, for children up to the age of 18. We do hope to have plenty to choose from on that day, and we will make sure that these coats go directly to children and families who need them. This Coats for Kids initiative came from our CHANT team. Those are Community Health Access Navigators. And these are the folks that go out into the community and work directly with families that have children with disabilities or severe medical issues. And they put them in touch with programs and resources. They are the ones that identified this need. We know what a economic challenge it is to outfit an entire family for the winter season. We want to do our part to help families in Rutherford County. So suffice to say, your health department has a busy week this coming first week of November. It would not be possible without the direct support and participation of our county departments, our community partners, and the generosity of the people of Rutherford County. And our goal at the end of it is to contribute in a substantial way to making Rutherford County families safe and warm for the coming winter.
Any questions for Director Crumpy? Entertain a motion to approve the report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Director Crumby. Just a comment before my question. It was interesting that you stated that car seats were the #1 reason for child death, and they did something about it. And currently, gun violence is the #1 killer of our youth. Wonder if we're going to do anything about that. But my question is about your communicable disease encounters. When I was looking at that, when you look at your AIDS prevention, talk to me about those numbers, because September 22 was 241 and September 23 is 633. That's quite a large difference.
That is a large difference. That is something I would like to check on, if you would allow me to, and get back to you on that and see if I can identify a reason for that. There's not a particular reason that I'm aware, like in a program initiative or something that would particularly point to that change. But I would be glad to report back to you on that.
I would like that information, definitely, considering the denial of funding related to STD here in our, related to AIDS prevention in our state. So I definitely would like to see the reason for those numbers.
Absolutely, and I can see where that decline in funding would indicate a reduction possibly, but we'll find out. We'll find that out for you. Thank you.
Director, excuse me, quick question. If someone has already had the flu shot, if someone has already had the flu or COVID, should they still get the flu shot or the COVID vaccine, or no?
We would recommend you check with your primary care provider, but
Okay.
generally speaking, after a certain amount of time, your antibodies will start to go back down, so it would still be recommended that you get that seasonal shot.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. And then also, as an awareness, next month, it's Diabetes Awareness Month. So being a person of diabetes, type 1 myself, I just wanted to put that out there. So I'm sure on my social media I'll be blasting that, because it's something that's near and dear to my heart, to allow others to eat healthy and exercise if possible, to do the right thing. So thank you.
Very important for all of us. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Director, I just wanted to say thank you for including PDFs on everything you spoke about, because commissioners now have an easy way to spread the word on each and every one of those events you spoke of. So I appreciate that very much. And with that, I move to approve the report.
Second.
And a question.
Yes.
On the winter coat drive, do you also take sweaters, anything like pullover sweaters, or?
We would say any cold weather gear, we would be glad to get that and make that available to someone. Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you.
If other questions, will all in favor of approving the report say aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Director. Next on our agenda is the community care report, and I did drop a note, item B. The CCRC board did not renew the contract with our management company, United Church Homes. And if we want to ask any questions about that, we can get those together. I'm sure the mayor, the chairman of their board, would be glad to answer those questions next month. I do note in the minutes, that Director Sonia Stevenson, Director of HR, was at the board last month, and there's a committee put together to work out the salary for that position. That's been done, and the application has been posted. Is that correct, Secretary? So be aware of that, and if there's any questions about CCRC, we can try to get us an update next month. And they are also, the minutes had noted that we loaned the CCRC $835 some odd thousand for their remodeling. They are due to reimburse that, and they approved that reimbursement in their minutes as well. So that money should be coming back into our coffers. $830,750 to be exact. That's just some points of update for CCRC. Director Michael Smith did not have any changes in the his report for special projects. He has no report for tonight, which leads us to the Board of Education. I know that Director Sullivan is at the Board of Education tonight. This is one of the few times that our meetings coincide. So Director of Finance, Byron, is here with us to give a couple reports and answer questions if necessary.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman, before he reports.
Yes.
Is there a reason why we don't have the report,
Which report?
the school board report? We don't have anything from the school board to review before the meeting. I understand there's going to be a budget amendment requested as well, but we don't have that information. So is there a reason?
I've never had their agenda presented to us in my time here,
We have had their reports on here before.
but we've had the director present. So I've left this item A, Board of Education update, so that the director can present what he might wish from the
So this is
previous
not
meeting.
anything that we're going to vote on, this is just information?
Correct. There's no
Okay, because I know I've had their information on this iPad before to look at.
Yes, primarily amendments, and there are no amendments, so I didn't pull it. But the Board of Education, if you're referring to their minutes or their reports, we generally don't have their direct information relayed over to us, other than amendments.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I know we usually have something on
Yeah.
here, and we don't, so I was
Correct.
just curious, because I was wanting to review it before the meeting.
And no amendments.
All right, thank you.
And we will proceed with the enrollment update is what Mr. Runyon, I want to call you by her, what Mr. Runyon has for us tonight. Since there are no amendments and the director's not available to present any BOE info, but we did want to go ahead and get the enrollment update to us, and then I have a couple of questions about administration salaries. So go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Yeah, as the Chairman said, tonight is just basically more information, so to vote on it, there's nothing really to vote on because there are no amendments. I'm just going to give a brief update on some of the enrollment numbers, and I've got handouts here that I will hand to y'all right now before I go into it so y'all can look at this.
Thank you.
And I apologize, these were not handed to me until like an hour ago, so that's the reason why they weren't included on your SharePoint. If you look at these, the sheet you see in blue and white, that's your grades K through 12 enrollment. And if you look at the other one, it's your pre-K numbers for the school district. So we pull this on the 16th, which is what, the date the state pulls it on. We got to have the numbers in there by the 16th, and that's what they fund us based off of. But if you look at it, these numbers are as of 10/24. So from the 16th to the 24th, let me make sure I'm giving you the exact numbers. So from October 16th to now, to today's date, we had a gain of 47 students in K-12. From 10/16 to now, in pre-K through 12, a total of 62 students. So as you can see, we're we're well over 50,000 students in K through 12, and then you add another 20 plus students to that with pre-K, and it puts us almost at 51,000. So that's where we are right now currently with our demographic profile with these the students for all Rutherford County schools. An additional note that I will add, I think the chairman was asking me earlier about our situation with what we're doing. It may not have been the chairman, it may have been Commissioner Wilson. He was asking me about our process with what we're doing right now with the land and some other projects that we have with engineering. As of right now, we're looking at 2 parcels of land. One is in the Rocky Fork Road area in North Rutherford, and then also the Stewart's Creek area. Tonight, Trey Lee is presenting to them the options of both parcels of property to see what they want to vote on, but we are tonight in our board work session, and then on Thursday in our actual board meeting, we'll be voting on how we want our board attorneys to proceed with negotiations on those 2 properties. So as of right now, that's where we are in those processes with the land acquisition. As far as with any additional building projects right now, we're in a holding pattern. We're waiting on our board to give us more direction for that. So the elementary school that may be built on what was the Beatty property that we, acquisition last year, we're still in the process of seeing what we're going to do with that as far as that goes. Any additional questions?
Any questions on those matters?
I would say, and I will report back to Dr. Solon to see if he can give some more additional information for those projects as well at our next meeting here. So.
I think we'll have more robust agenda from the school board at the next meeting.
I can say that we will have a couple. The next health and ed meeting that we have, we will have some budget amendments and some other things that's coming forward with that. It was just a slow month this month for us because we were waiting on some grants to get approved, but we will bring those forward to y'all next month.
I had a couple of questions, but I'll see if the commission.
I do have a question. Has there been any discussion to your knowledge about the issues going on at Roy Waldron?
In regards to?
Building upkeep, repairs, things of that nature.
I know they're talking about them constantly in our leadership meetings. I don't know what the final decisions have been made. They're still throwing those around. Of course, everything that, is being talked about has to go before the board for approval. But as far as my knowledge knows, as of right now, there hasn't been anything definitely approved for any improvements to that particular location.
Okay, and I have one more question. I'm looking at this enrollment count. Is this you're saying Brown's Chapel has 1,665 students? Am I looking at that wrong?
I believe that's Blackman Middle.
Oh, Blackman Middle.
Brown's
Okay.
Chapel is 813, yes.
Gotcha. Because I was just like, wow. Okay, that's the middle school. Okay.
Safe, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Commissioner.
Thank you, Chairman. Since you talked about land, kind of that conversation we're having, and you mentioned both parcels there are in northwest Rutherford. One thing I just want to bring to the committee's attention, I talked to Commissioner Boyd about this, was, and I know, Chairman, you're very familiar with Edsel Charles, who's the founder of the Market Graphics Research Group. He's one of the most formidable people in the country that for various housing markets, this is who developers look to when they're looking for where is demand, and in that demand, what are the price ranges in most demand that people are looking for. This is the way developers know where to go look for property to buy, where to develop, so they can be sure they're moving somewhere and working somewhere, purchasing properties that can sell. I just want you to know that he was giving a Middle Tennessee update. I was very blessed to be a part of that with my wife, Natalie, to hear this. Middle Tennessee, he had it into 11 counties. He excluded Montgomery because obviously with the base not being too far away, it kind of skews the way housing numbers look in that market. But considering 11 other counties in Middle Tennessee, each county has its own submarket of 3 to 4 sections. This is the way he can really knock down subdivision by subdivision, area by area, where the growth is, where the dollars are, as far as what the limits are, so you don't end up developing $1 million properties in a place that's looking for $500,000 properties, and so on and so forth. What I want you to know is with 11 counties, and each county having at least 3 submarkets, West Rutherford was number 2. Number 2 of 11 counties and all the submarkets, which there were almost 40, West Rutherford was number 2 between now and 2028. That is his projection of development and where the demand for housing is going, and I just want to make sure everybody knows this is where developers are going. There are farms now that are not listed that will be sold between now and that time to developers. I'm just making sure that when I bring up land, I know some people think, why does Commissioner Wilson keep saying this? I wish he'd stop, but I can't because I know what's going on. And a lot of these things and conversations happen in real estate. They're not on the market listings. These are family farms and families that know people that are in real estate sales and in development, and they have conversations without us knowing. So things are moving very fast. And it's something that's not happening with public knowledge and with very little fanfare. So to hear you say we're looking at least a couple of properties in what Edsel Charles just said is the second biggest development area in all of Middle Tennessee between now and 2028, it scares me. It absolutely frightens me that we're not moving fast enough. And so I can't encourage everyone enough that the tsunami of growth that's going to hit us when these properties develop will be nothing like we've seen because it's concentrated in one area. It's not just general growth over a full county. You have a majority of the growth in West Rutherford. And it won't be long before it's over on the east-north side because Jefferson Pike is getting all those improvements done between Smyrna and 840, and it is going to blow up. So I want to keep everyone in this committee advised on the real estate front what I'm hearing, because when these guys say developers are coming and they're coming to the areas where they can purchase property and they're going to be able to sell the lots that they're coming up. And by the way, the last thing he mentioned, just to give you a full report, is between now and 2028, we're 6,000 lots short of what we need for housing demand. Which means he's saying to developers, you need to come. We need 6,000 more lots than we even see are going to possibly start between now and the next 4 years. So I just want to give that report to everyone just so you understand what's going on. So thank you, Chairman.
Continuation of the building program, the 5-year building program is still a sense of urgency. Yes. Laura.
And if I could, May, I'd like to follow up with that. I actually had that conversation today with Tammy Sharp on our school board when we discussed that they had been looking at land and things of that nature. And it was a little scary to hear that we're looking, but still, even if we buy something today, it's going to be 4 to 5 years before anything is there. And I'm looking at these numbers, and you're saying from October 16th to the 24th, we've already gained, what'd you say, 47 over here? Pre-K is?
Yep. 47 K through 12, and then 62 total pre-K through 12. So additional 20. If you include the pre-K in there, it's an additional 20, so 67 or 47 K
in that
through 12,
very short time. And then looking at the enrollment numbers at these schools, and so that is pretty much what I said to her today. You do realize that in our districts alone, there's, 10 to 13,000 homes going up right now. We don't have 5 years for these seats. We don't, and I don't know if we can even get enough portables in there for all of these. We're already at capacity at Stewart's Creek and Laverne. and Smyrna. I don't know what we'll do. And looking is great, but we need to hurry up.
And that is the thing from the conversations that I've heard, between, our board and, leadership, is that, we're wanting to be able to find those places, but a lot of it is contingent on whether, the ground that we're trying to buy will suit, whatever, a K6, or a 6-8, middle school, high school, whatever grade band school we're looking at. Some of this land that we have looked at, it just would not be suitable for that. So, I mean, it's one of those things, if we don't know about it, as Commissioner Wilson said, if we don't know about it, then, that's something that needs to be brought to our attention. And we're also trying to, I mean, we're open to anything. It's just that if we don't know it's out there and it's available, then, we don't know. So we need to make sure, you're correct. We need to make sure we're diligent in what we're looking at. But also, again, speaking to we don't have that time, just an update on our rezoning situation. We are voting with RSP, the company that did the rezoning for us. We are actually voting on those options 1 or 2 next month at our next board meeting. So those will be brought forward at that point in time, and what those look like. And how they'll look 2 years from now, I don't know. I can't say. I mean, we may get 2 years down the road, because that's about the time frame that those will take effect, from what I understand. And, who knows? By that time, it may require something else. So that's where we're at, as far as I know, with the rezoning. As far as building, like I said, and the land purchase, those are the 2 main properties that we're looking at right now. But I mean, it's one of those things that's good to know that, it's going to be West Rutherford where, a lot of that, majority of that building is coming into play. So.
And just a quick follow-up, and I know that the chairman mentions often in different committee meetings that he's a part of, budget season will soon be upon us yet again. One of the things I'd like to encourage is we should start talking about how we would pay for land if we found it, and we need to start having those conversations sooner rather than later. So depending on, let's say, either one of these worked out, what's the amount of money that we would be looking at? I would say it's probably in the 10 million mark minimum. What are our ideas so it doesn't come on to us too late, so we can start talking now? If that's a number we need to buy, shouldn't we talk now on where the 10 million would come from? I just feel like we should be having those conversations up front so it doesn't hit an agenda item and we keep talking about stuff at the end. I'd rather try to get in front of it as far as we possibly can. So maybe if you can have that conversation, I know you're the finance guy, that's why I'm talking about money. However, we can start having conversations and budget or with anyone now on where's this money going to come from when we find it. Because one thing I know is this: when you've got people willing to sell us property, the last thing they want is government to slow up how slow they run to buy that land, especially if you've got a family trust or you've got people involved that want to get paid. When you work with government, it takes a long time to close versus the private sector. So I'm just trying to do whatever I can to kind of publicly say whatever we can do to get in front of this thing so we can convince folks that have land to deal with us. Man, let's get on it.
And I will speak to this, just knowing, our general purpose budget, that we do have a certain amount of funds that we could pull out of our fund balance if we had to, and still stay comfortable with where we're not going to deplete that fund balance. And then also in our 189, which is our building projects fund, we do have some projects that are finished up that had money left over in them. So we would be able to pull possible money from that depending on, whether it's a high school or an elementary school or whatever it is we're looking for, or whatever that land may be for. So we do have some options. I'm not going to say it's $20, $30 million worth of options, but if, we can find a piece of land, like for example, when, we bought the Beatty property. I think that was $5 to $6 million, $7 million maybe. So we would possibly be able to have that readily available without having to go to the bond market to be able to purchase, that land. But when we get on up there in the 20s, 30s, $40 million, and that's whenever we're going to have to, it's going to be an ask. There's no options at that point.
Can I ask that, because, we only meet once a month.
Right.
Is it possible that I can request that for next month's meeting, can you maybe give us an idea in advance how we would come up with that money? Because I know you had some ideas, but can we get, like, hey, we looked, and actually, if this offer came through today and we had to do it, this is how I would really like to hear it. I just want to get us in front of it, because you got to go through so many committees here before getting the commission. So the more commissioners can digest what we're looking at, because we have so many needs in every single area of our county, from public safety to education. The more we can get in front of costs before they hit us, I think it just makes it more digestible for us to figure out and feel good about the way we're trying to go about finding the revenue.
So that's a specific request before the next meeting.
I would like, yes, Chairman, I would like to do that.
Sources of cash, ending fund balances that could be used for land, and how much. That's the
Yes, I
specific
would move.
question.
I would move that way, Chairman. Yes, just that way we understand if there is a deficit that we need to come up with revenue for, we can discuss or think about where it would come from. Or if you already have that, yes, I would like to make that request, please.
Sure, that would not be a problem. I mean, like I said, we know what we've got on our side as far as additional funds, things like that, and additional fund balances and things like that. So yeah, that would not be a problem to bring that before the board.
And that leads me to, I've got a small line of inquiry, and I think this segues over from budget-wise. And before I go to mine, I just want to say we're at a tenuous, it's a new director, a new commissioner, a new superintendent, the deep dive in the budget, deeper than we have in the last few years. And I'd like to see that budget get its 6-month history before we dip into the funds too much. And we need the funds, it's in real time, we need the funds right away, or we're a year behind. So thank you for bringing that forward. Thank you for being energetic about that question. Let's get some info before the next meeting. You said tonight's workshop, they're talking about 2 parcels, and
Yes.
the vote on that is Thursday.
So what they're going to vote on Thursday is just for our board attorney to be able to go and start negotiations with those 2 parcels of land with the landowners or whomever it is that they're going to negotiate with. So they're approving our board attorney to go start negotiating with those
It's a
landowners.
very timely request, Commissioner. So I think within the next, within a week, let's get an email out to this committee.
And just ask one more.
Yes.
So just how feasible is this? I know you're the money guy, and I'm still kind of new to all of this, but there's been conversations. I know the developers are snatching up the money or the land faster than you can get to it. Is it feasible in the future for us to think about building the schools up instead of horizontal? Because we may end up with less and less land to be looking at.
I would not be comfortable answering that question just due because it's an architectural thing. The only reason why, as far as money-wise, one way or the other, it's going to cost a certain amount. I don't know if going up costs more or if staying the way we are. And the reason why we're following a lot of the same architectural plans is because it's cheaper. They've already got them, and it's not going to take as long to get those buildings built, from what I understand. But I mean, as far as however our board guides us, if they say, okay, let's start looking at going up instead of out, we'll definitely start doing that. It's just one of those things that, I don't know cost-wise whether it's more to go up or out. I mean, it makes sense what you're saying, because then you wouldn't have to buy as much land to go up as out. So,
And that's what I'm hearing, is that they're looking at X amount of acres for a high school, for a middle school. I know it's different acreage, but I'm going to say we're not going to have an endless supply of 100 acres
right.
at our disposal.
Yeah, you are correct. And like I said, as far as speaking to it from an architectural point of view, I would not feel comfortable saying yes one way or the other. But, I mean, we definitely can get our engineering officer in here and talk about it. I mean, I have no problem with that, and I'm sure he wouldn't either. So, but I don't know that aspect of it. And I know they have mentioned things like that before. but there's kind of a pullback on it for some reason, and I can't speak to that, so I don't want to give you misinformation whenever I'm not really on that side of things. I'm really on giving you the money to be able to do whatever it is you're trying to do, or being able to get that money. So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good conversation to have and to get those questions answered, because you're right. There's not 200 parcel acres these days. You know, I mean, 100. It's hard to find even 100. You know, acre parcels. So, I mean, it'd be a good conversation to have for sure.
And I think Mr. Lee can speak to that too. So that's a great question to expand out through the Board of Education folks. So we'll get that asked as well. So we're talking about budgets, kind of critical mass. I know some commissioners noticed this week WGNS posted that a Thurman Francis principal was hired as a director of choice schools, I believe. And some commissioners were being observant and wonder, was that position in the budget? Is the Board of Education, is the central office growing without our knowledge? And in my investigation of that, my inquiries rather, suggest that position very specifically was an unfilled position that had previously been filled. That person moved on. This particular principal was able to transition over. So there's been some moves internally, and I have been informed by the director and the budget director that those were positions in the budget. Is that correct? And do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes. So yes, all those positions were already in the budget because there was a previous school choice director in there. And she left her position at the beginning of the year. And so basically we were going to hold off on hiring that position, but it seems like the charter school conversation is becoming ever more prominent. So they wanted to make sure that there was somebody in that position. We were contracting that out, but now we just decided we wanted somebody in-house to take it back over. So the same money that was budgeted for that previous position, that the lady that left in the beginning of the year, is the same money we're using. And then as that principal moved from Thurman Francis into that position, and then I think the Plainview principal is moving into Thurman Francis, all of those are budgeted. Those are already budgeted positions.
And along that vein, I know my first time on Health and Ed, it's been 10 years ago now, Mr. Odom was the chairman, a superintendent rather, and a matrix I always enjoyed hearing, and it helped me, I think, understand we had a strong, fiscally responsible school board, was the ratio of administrators to teachers, administrators to students, or even the salary of the central office as a ratio of the teacher salaries. So I do request that next month, if the director could have those ratios to present to us.
Yeah, that's not a problem, and I believe, honestly, if I'm thinking correctly, because I look at our website, often, but not probably often enough, there's a number on there that's showing that I think with our student to teacher ratio right now, we're at 16-1. But again, like I said, that could have changed. I just saw it a few weeks ago, so I don't know.
That's student to teacher?
Student to teacher ratio.
To 16. Do you know how that fits in the state? Do you
At what level? Because they're not having classrooms of just 16 kids, so.
No, I mean, that's the average. That would be the average of 16-1, from what I understand and what it says on our website. And again, it may be absolute wrong information. I have no clue, but I just did see it one day whenever I was scrolling through it. But we can get those numbers, those more accurate numbers.
If you could help us review them.
Oh, we would have some satisfied teachers if they only had 16 students in the classroom.
I'm definitely not saying that every classroom has just only 16 students, but I believe that's an average. But again, like I said, I don't know what the range of that is or anything, so I don't want to speak too much to it. Like I said, I just saw it on our website, so, but we can get those more accurate numbers for you for sure.
I'm certainly a lay person in your profession, and but it's just a matrix that I find interesting, and to me, I don't ever want us to get top heavy. I want teachers in the classrooms has always been the most important to me, and we could certainly use your help when we see those numbers to help us see how those numbers compare with the state and so forth. But
and it could be.
I'd also put Mr. Running on the spot with these elements. But next month, definitely let's have some of those ratios.
And it could be for a certain demographic of students that may be that 16-to-1. So like I said, we can give you the full dynamics of what the student-teacher ratio is based off of demographics. And then also, as we were talking about earlier, the central office staff to students as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
to make sure that.
I've always been
Recovering that.
intrigued with it's the energy in the classroom. That's the job. I just don't want to get top heavy. If need y'all's help to make sure I'm thinking that's good.
Just a quick follow-up. I just wanted to say thank you tonight. A lot of these questions, it's not because it's you. I promise, Brian. Promise. These are questions that are going to come up because, number one, with all the needs we have upcoming, with all kinds of budgeting needs, these are the questions we're getting from the community. And we're going to have more and more questions the more we need to. If we say we need revenue in any form, they're going to say, how are you spending the money? So I just want you to know that I'm glad we're asking early, because when we go to continue ask for money, if we need to buy something or land or something comes up, first question is, what are you doing with what you have? So first of all, thank everybody for getting on top of it, because if we can find out answers to the tough questions and be able to tell people where the money's going, we can definitely tell them why we need more revenue if it were to come up and what it's for. But we've got to have all those questions answered. People are looking now because everybody's struggling and everybody's scared about what's going on. And the growth coming is not paying for itself. We have more people coming in than we're going to have revenue coming in, and that's just the truth. So thank you tonight for taking these questions. I know for a lot of us commissioners, we just need to ask the questions publicly so people know we're really paying attention, that we know what's going on and we're listening to their emails, we're listening to their phone calls, and we're reading their texts, and that we're trying to get the answers for them. So thank you very much for the long list that we are sending back with you to bring back to us next month.
That's not a problem, and like as Dr. Sullivan would say, and I always say, is transparency is the key to making everything work correctly. So we have no problem providing all that information to you.
I do have a follow-up question regarding the administrative shiftings that are going on. So does that leave an administrative spot open at Plainview?
Actually, their assistant principal filled that spot, so there probably is an assistant principal spot open at Plainview, but I'm not sure as far as that went down. I do know that their assistant principal stepped up and took the Dr. Gagne, who was at Plainview, spot as far as the principal at Plainview. So I'm sure there is probably an assistant principal spot, but again, that spot is budgeted. It is in the actual budget. So
That prompts me to say, this is completely organic here. I wonder if there is a block of information that we might want to pull from the Board of Education. I don't expect you to answer this, but pull from the Board of Education minutes or from their workshop minutes, so that we're not always a month behind. So if y'all conceive of whether it's their minutes get published into our SharePoint, or if there's components of their minutes, y'all think about that. If there's a better way for us to get information more timely and consistently, especially with these critical, super costly decisions on our horizon, please get an email out, get the questions out. I know that Brian and Jimmy want to be transparent, and that's the only way we can operate, is if we're getting that transparency. So I challenge you guys, if you have a method or procedure of consistent, timely information being shared, let's put that together.
Chairman, that's a wonderful idea. Maybe if you would give us I know that you meet with Dr. Sullivan to go over his agenda items, and maybe if there was a cutoff time where if we had questions up until a certain time, we could submit them to you on our behalf, and it would give him enough time to prepare to come to answer those questions. I don't know if it would be a week before our meeting or if it would be 10 days, but that would be great if we knew, because then as we're watching work sessions and we have questions, if we could send them and then say, hey, these are questions we have, if you could bring them to us, that'd be wonderful. That's a great suggestion.
So an email, open policy email, copy Rachel if you guys have specific requests, and it may turn into a more consistent agenda item. But for now, any new questions, get them to me and Rachel and your other committee members. and I'm sure Dr. Sullivan will be open to have this discussion in this arena next month. Is there a better way for us to gain and share information?
I will say this, that if you have any questions about our board agenda or anything that the board has voted on, it's always available on our website. You just go in under our district tab and then the board agenda and minutes, and you can look up and see what all has been approved for that month, because usually we have 2 board meetings a month, 2 work sessions, 2 board meetings. So, you can go in there and look at that. And also, I actually had a conversation today with our board secretary. I think we're going to go electronic with those board minutes as well. So, if I get them, and they're public knowledge anyways, so you're welcome to, reach out to me or whatever, and I can email you those board minutes if you want to look at them and review them and see if there's anything that's coming your way that you have questions on. So.
Thank you. Any more questions?
One
Yes.
more question. Which Plainview school is that we're referring to?
It's the elementary school.
The elementary.
Yeah.
This is currently the only one
It's the only
out
one
there,
there
right?
right now, yes.
Yeah. So, thank you. I don't think that, this was information only. Does anyone need to vote these into the minutes? Rachel, any thoughts? I'll entertain a motion to approve this report. Second? One with a second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our agenda. I know Trey's just really chomping at the bit to see what's in other business. So, Commissioner Gooch, anything in other business that you're aware of, or anyone else? If there's no further business for this board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I do have hang on, excuse me. Director Crombie. Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you.
So.
I knew that was bothering you, that you didn't have an answer. I knew you were going to dig
like
into
when we
that.
can fix something in
Yes,
a moment. And
yes.
so pursuant to a question that Commissioner Oliver had about our AIDS prevention numbers, I was able to reach out to our administrative supervisor. She checked the original numbers, and that was a transcription error. The original report, the numbers were 163, and the report we submitted had 633 on there. So we will make that correction. We will provide that to Ms. Rachel, and she will get it out to you tomorrow. And with a great deal of appreciation to Commissioner Oliver for spotting that for us.
Thanks, Director. Thank you. With no other business, we are adjourned.